Start the meeting now. December 9th, 2017. Call to order. Okay, from my left, roll call.
Jason DeRozier.
Jan Brown.
John Kilman.
Samantha Towns.
Arthur Spur.
Okay. Has everyone had a chance to read the meeting's minutes from November 21, 17?
They're not available.
No, yeah, Mr. Chairman, those aren't available at this time.
It'll be in the next.
We'll make a motion to yield those until January meeting.
Okay. Seconded?
Second.
Okay, all approved? Okay. Public items. First item is ZM 2017-0124, 5104 Strand Drive, and ZM 2017-0126, 5206 Strand Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an application to rezone two properties. One is 5104 Strand Drive and the other is 5206 Strand Drive. 5404 Strand Drive is currently located within unincorporated Union County, and so it is running concurrently with annexation number 148, and it is vacant. 5206 Strand Drive is within the town of Indian Trail. The request before you is to rezone both of them to single-family residential. The intention is to, should both applications be approved for rezoning, the intent is to do a minor boundary line adjustment for the shared boundary line and construct a single-family house on the currently vacant parcel. The property that is located within unincorporated Union County is zoned single-family residential, which is R20, and it is approximately 2.44 acres in size. Again, it's also requested to be annexed into the town of Indian Trail. 5206 Strand Drive is currently in the town of Indian Trail and it's zoned light industrial. Of course, the request is to rezone it to single-family, which is SF1. Location overview, you can see in your application before you, it's located just north of Old Hickory Business Park, and it's also located near Oak Springs Road. You can see surrounding zoning, anything in purple represents light industrial, anything in yellow represents single-family residential. If there is no color, that means it is in Union County. If we look at the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, this is in the Old Hickory Village, and this area is represented in green, so you can see the area circled, and it is shown to be low-density residential. As a result of the future land use map, it is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and so no future land use map adjustment would be necessary. All right. Bear with me a minute. The proposed UDO amendment is consistent with the following goals of the comprehensive plan. Quality of life goal number 1, it will maintain the unique identity by preserving the character of this area that is defined by single-family homes. Land use and housing goal number 3, the proposed map amendment supports the residential future land use map within the Old Hickory Village, which shows the area as low-density residential. The amendment and desired single-family home will improve the existing neighborhood by maintaining consistency with the existing and future uses. This rezoning request is reasonable and is in the public interest because it promotes the goals of the Indian Trail Comprehensive Plan in the areas of quality of life and land use and housing. It is consistent with the adopted plans within the town of Indian Trail. Staff does recommend that the planning board receive the report and recommend approval of ZM 2017-0124 and ZM 2017-0126 to the County Council. Any questions for me? Yes, sir.
On that one part where you're talking about that they're owned by the same person, and they're going to adjust the lines between the two properties?
It's actually owned by the same family members. So there's a couple that owns one property, and then it's that couple and his wife, his brother and her wife, his wife, that own the other
So
parcel.
they're in perfect agreement of changing the size of each parcel, correct?
Yes, sir. The intention is for the daughter to build a house on the vacant lot. The daughter
Thank
and
you.
niece. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I have a motion.
I make a motion that we approve as presented.
Second? Okay. All in favor? That's unanimous?
Thank you.
Simeon.
The second item is Z 2017-0139, 2013, 2015, and 2017, Fripp Lane and portions of common open space. I'm going to have to excuse myself because I live in there.
Yes, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown? Before you leave, we do not have a co-chair.
I'm sorry, I did not hear it.
We do not have a vice chair, co-chair.
Okay, but you can take over, or?
By all means, if you'd like to, I can.
Yes.
I can step up for this, that's fine.
Yes.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so this application before you is for 3 residential properties, 2013, 2015, and 2017 on Fripp Lane, all within Brandon Oaks, and also a portion of the common open space that runs near Fripp Lane as well. A little background on this, Brandon Oaks is a community of about 1,300 units. All the units in Brandon Oaks, except about 20 of them, are within the town of Indian Trail. So we have about 20 that are still in unincorporated Union County. So the request before you is for these 3 property owners to, they have requested to annex into the town of Indian Trail. And in order to make them contiguous, which means make sure they are touching property that's within the town of Indian Trail, that's where this portion of the common open space comes in. So the other open space within Brandon Oaks is already in, but for some reason, this portion is not. When folks are in the town of Indian Trail, they receive trash service, so solid waste and recycling service as a result of being within the town limits. And so these folks do wish to receive that solid waste service. So that is the goal and the intention behind this. This is also accompanied by annexation number 150. So the request is to annex in and then, of course, give it a compatible zoning district for the town of Indian Trail. So each of the 3 properties on Fripp Lane, 2013, 2015, and 2017 are all improved with single-family homes. Again, I did say that annexing in the portion of the common open space would provide the contiguity to annex it in. No changes are proposed on the residential pieces or the common open space. So all 3 properties and the common open space are zoned residential single-family in unincorporated Union County, which is R20. And so the request is to bring them into the to single-family low density, single-family SF5, which is what the rest of Brandon Oaks is. Collectively, this amounts to about 1.653 acres with that portion and the 3 property owners. The town of Indian Trail is serving as the applicant so that we can process all of these properties at the same time. Location overview, of course, you can see its relation to, the relation of Fripp Lane to Sun Valley Commons. Surrounding zoning, again, Brandon Oaks is zoned, Brandon Oaks is SF4, I apologize, Christmas on the brain, which is shown by the bright yellow. You can see north of that is SF1, which is pale yellow. It's our most, it's our least dense single family, least dense residential development, and then the blue is Sun Valley Commons. If you look at the future land use map in the comprehensive plan, this is shown to be the Brandon Oaks subdivision, the residential component, and so of course no amendment to the comprehensive plan is necessary. This is located within the Sun Valley Village of our comprehensive plan. Here's the survey, just shows you the 3 parcels along Fripp Lane and the portion of the common open space that are requesting to be annexed in and then also rezoned. Alright, now I will read this into the record. The proposed UDO amendment is consistent with the following goals of the comprehensive plan. Quality of life, goal number 1. The proposed map amendment will maintain the unique identity in this area, which is predominantly characterized by Brandon Oaks, the largest residential neighborhood in Union County. Land use and housing goal number 1 and 2, enhance the existing vibrant Brandon Oaks community, which is located in close proximity to Sun Valley High School, as well as commercial uses at the neighboring shopping centers located within the town of Indian Trail. This rezoning request is reasonable and is in the public interest because it promotes the goals of the Indian Trail Comprehensive Plan in the areas of quality of life and land use and housing. It is consistent with the adopted plans within the town of Indian Trail. Staff does recommend that the planning board receive this report and recommend approval to town council. Do you have any questions for me? Yes? Yes, sir.
Yes, we're in the other, I'm looking at some other residents nearby, and they're also in the county, is that correct?
Yes, yes, sir. Those that are still,
The ones,
The ones a little bit after
either
that.
side and across the street, are they still in the
yes, sir.
county?
If you see, yes, sir. So if you look at that, the zoning map surrounding zoning, yes, sir. If there's no color on it, it's still within Union County.
Was any effort made to extend an opportunity for them to come in Indian Trail?
What prompted this was we realized that a few property owners were receiving solid waste service and they were not in the town of Indian Trail, so we reached out to those folks to see if they wanted to annex in. We did reach out to a couple more, and so far only 3 have expressed an interest, but I have let the HOA know that I'm happy to speak with them if they find that more would like to annex in.
Okay, was this an oversight when, I think the whole development was done in the county, and then we annexed it, and evidently we didn't get them all, we just got a portion of them at a time.
It seems like an oversight.
I think that, I wasn't here at this time, but I think perhaps the lots were, the final plat was established for the lots, and they were sold before the annexation documentation was recorded. So in some respects, yeah, there was a little bit of a slip up, if you will, but I think that's how it occurred.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Any other questions?
That was my question.
That was. So we do have, if there's no other questions, we do have public comment. I'd
Okay.
like to open the floor to Frederick and Cynthia Candea. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, I have a question. What are
Would you please step up to the podium here, and if you could kindly say your name and address for us, for the record.
Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia Kandai. I'm a resident at 2013 Fripp Lane. And I just had a question, what other benefits would we get by being annexed into the town of Indian Trail, besides trash pickup?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've been assigned to answer your questions. So I think you, certainly from a financial standpoint, there's 2 things that jump out on mind. You identified number 1, which is you're going to receive, I Thank you. You're going to receive town refuse service on behalf from the town of Indian Trail, and all residential property owners receive that benefit for no extra charge. So that's weekly solid waste pickup, bi-weekly recycling, and bi-weekly yard waste pickup, as well as curbside couches and mattresses, and that's stuff we all try to get out of our attics as soon as we can. So that's a clear benefit. You also have many insurance companies will reward their property owners when they become incorporated with a better property insurance rate versus being unincorporated. It's case by case, but we have seen that from time to time. But I think some other benefits that people don't necessarily think of is one is proximity to your local officials. Okay, so right now, as an unincorporated property owner, if you want to become more involved and learn more about what's going on in your community, or you have an issue you want to take up with your elected officials, your elected officials are in Monroe versus here in downtown Indian Trail. And so that's not only a convenience issue, but also it raises a question: does someone, when I drive down to Monroe and I take my issue up with maybe my council member, or in that case commissioner, or planning board member, are they going to be able to relate to my issue inside a subdivision in what is basically Indian Trail, versus someone who is here and probably lives in a similar environment to you? And so there's the ability to engage your local government, which I think is also something that people discount. The final thing, and we could have a much longer conversation, and that is with our parks and recreation programs. We offer a lot of benefits to residents. Anyone can come to the parks and enjoy them, but we have a lot of recreation programs that we offer at more competitive rates for our residents, as well as we have Carolina Courts, just actually across the street here, where every resident is entitled to a membership pass program, where they can go in during set periods of the day and enjoy play some volleyball, basketball, do laps in the winter when it's too cold outside, or it's too hot in summer. And so it's our kind of indoor recreation center, if you will, that only residents can enjoy.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That answers my question.
And that does close public comment for for Fripp Lane. So do I have a motion on ZM 2017-0139, 2013, 2015, 2017 Fripp Lane and portion of common open space?
I make a motion that we approve as presented, and also welcome to Indian Trail. It's a great place to live.
I'll second.
All in favor? It's unanimous.
Plus, we're the largest town in Union County, too.
Welcome home. Yeah. Did he move from your spot? What did you?
Okay. Now we have number C, Z 2017-0018, M2, shops at Hanfield Village.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the request before you is to rezone approximately 4.813 acres and incorporate this into the shops at Hanfield Village, which is it's currently zoned SF1 within the Village Center overlay, and so the request would be to rezone it to conditional zoning SF5 within the Village Center overlay, which would enable the incorporation into the overall development. The intention is to improve this parcel with 2 commercial buildings. Here's a concept plan. I know you've seen the one before you, of course, that shows Publix, which is the large orangish rusty color. So that's Publix, and then this is showing the new piece up above it. Again, you can see how this is proposed to provide connectivity between the new parcel and the existing parcel, and it's showing the 2 commercial buildings. The shops of Hanfield Village consist of Publix, 4 separate buildings, and 3 out parcels. location overview. Of course, this is located next to Sun Valley Commons and again, next to Publix. For surrounding zoning, you can see to the north and the east, it's zoned SF1, which is single-family, low-density residential within the town of Indian Trail. Across Wesley Chapel Stouts Road would be Sun Valley Commons, which is general business district, and of course, this property is the conditional zoning district. If you look to the comprehensive plan for the future land use map, this is located within the Sun Valley Village. It does show this piece. It is next to the mixed-use component, and so, yeah. So we are not going to require a comprehensive plan amendment at this time with this application. Community meetings. Of course, with this application, since it's a conditional zoning map amendment, we were required to hold community meetings. Both of them were held on December 6th, and there were no members of the public in attendance. So we had very capable applicants there, right? Okay. So I know you had a copy of the concept plan with you in your packets. I don't know if you have any questions on that. Hopefully I addressed them there. And at this point, I'm going to read into the record the consistency findings. The proposed UDO amendment is consistent with the following goals of the comprehensive plan. Land use and housing, number 5, the proposed expansion of the conditional zoning district supports appropriate commercial land uses at a location identified within the Sun Valley Village Plan as mixed use that will help facilitate creation of an envisioned shopping and entertainment district within the area. The plan will incorporate vehicular cross-access to minimize any impacts on adjacent properties. Economic development goal number 1, the proposed expansion of the conditional district will expand commercial land uses within the town, supporting a more balanced tax base while providing more employment opportunities for citizens. This rezoning request is reasonable and is in the public interest because it promotes the goals of the Indian Trail Comprehensive Plan in the areas of land use and housing as well as economic development. It is consistent with the adopted plans within the town of Indian Trail. So I do want to let you know, as far as the staff recommendation, the applicant is finalizing a legal agreement to officially incorporate this new parcel into the overall development. And staff has spoken with the applicant with this, and the applicant is moving along to get this addressed, and so they have no problem with this contingent recommendation. So staff does recommend that a contingency be added with the recommendation to town council that staff receive confirmation that the parcel has been incorporated into the overall shops at Hanfield Village prior to council decision. And the applicant is okay with this, and they actually preferred the later town council meeting date in January. So as a result of that, staff does recommend that the planning board receive the report and recommend approval with the previously discussed contingency to the town council. Now, I'm available for questions, and we do have the applicant here who's able to answer any questions you may have.
Go ahead.
My question is, what are the advantages of the combining it with the existing shops at Hanfield?
The town and the applicant went through quite a process to make sure that this develops under similar design standards. So this parcel would have to fall under that design umbrella as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have some idea as to the interest in the shops going in there?
I would defer to the applicant for that. Whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm Wes Henson, applicant on the request for you guys, and no, Chairman Brown, there's not a current user in mind. What you're seeing is sort of a restaurant concept there, designed for sort of the largest and biggest user of public utilities, so that if it's something different from that, it will be underneath that use of utilities, not to exceed it. But there's not, till it's in the shops at Hanfield Village properly, there's not a use in mind right now, or not a user in mind right now.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I noticed that you have a proposed access on the other side of the Publix. What is the status of the property that's going to, on the other side? It looks like it's just vacant.
Are you saying to the north side, that access road that says gated, it says traffic barricade on the
Yes.
site survey here, but
Good evening, John Ross, Eagle Engineering, 2013A Van Buren Avenue. Just like with the shops at Hanfield Village, when that development was approved, we had to provide connectivity, intersite connectivity to the north to what is now the MHG site. The town has a policy to provide future connectivity, and that's what we're doing again, is still providing that to the north. It was a town requirement in case there was something that develops in the north that would make the two parcels interconnect.
Thank you. Does that, is the town talk to anybody about what's proposed for that property?
What's proposed for this parcel before you?
No, the one to the north,
Oh,
where
no.
it's vacant.
No, sir, I have not, as far as I know, Rox hasn't received any expression of interest in that. Yes, ma'am.
Question. It is my understanding that some of the people interested in economic development, if buildings were already there, they would be more interested in pursuing a business here. So is this one of the reasons why buildings are going up?
It's not associated with this particular petition, but there are some of the buildings within the shops at Hanfield are being built as a speculative building. There are shell buildings being built for future upfits to be made right now within the public shopping center at this point.
Yes, I thought so. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Burke? No, you had your hand up first, Mr. Burke.
One of the other questions I have, I noticed that there's two ponds, one towards the road and one in the back of the property. Where are those draining off to? And whenever you put concrete, we have problems with water. And are they going to be safety around them and that kind of stuff?
All very good questions. Yes, sir. Would it be wrong for me to ask you if you could, if I may, just hold that a minute, Cody. We've got about 5 or 6 slides. If you don't mind me flipping through those, it may answer some of the questions, and then I'll be glad to come back and answer that one specifically in a little more
That
detail,
would be fine.
if I can. I've got the advantage of a laser pointer that works on the screen behind you, but perhaps Katie can kind of work with the mouse. Here we go. Okay, and again, my name is John Ross. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, for allowing us to be here this evening. Also with me, Mr. Wes Henson, the petitioner, Mr. Cody Turner, representing the development team as well. In support of the petition that you have before you tonight, our firm is the designer and is a consultant to the petitioner. We've created the complete conditional zoning map application, map amendment application rather, in the formal submittal to the town. We've conducted an existing conditions survey, which you see before you, and I'll elaborate on in just a moment. We've developed the conceptual site plan that is part of your zoning petition and the development notes that go along with that. The petitioner has employed the services of Kimley Horn. They've done an exhaustive traffic impact analysis, gone through the same process with the town, with DOT. I'll come back to those here in just a moment. So done a full traffic impact analysis, as was done with the shops at Hanfield Village that added these 2 users to the overall development. We've also developed the sketch plan that I'll show you in just a moment, submitted it to Public Works for the water and sewer assessment and to the town of Indian Trail for their initial site plan review. We've received and responded to comments received from the town. And as Ms. C also indicated, we had 2 community meetings that were open to the public, but not very well attended. So this is, what you see before you is the existing conditions survey. And I want to point out the shape of this parcel, because as we get into the next slide or 2, I'll show you a little bit of change in the shape. So the parcel is somewhat a parallelogram. You see 2 lines at the bottom because there was a non-closing survey
which is now being closed and added into this parcel. The site topographically drains from basically the center of the site to the northeast and to the northwest. And when I come back to the site plan, you'll see that's why we're locating the ponds where we are. Katie, if you would flip over real quick. So this is the conceptual site plan. The parent parcel, again, is a parallelogram, but what you see is that we are closing in, and there's a land swap going on between the shops at Hanfield Village. We're actually replacing an existing water quality feature that is right now existing at shops at Hanfield and pushing it a little further to the north. That allows us to do a more effective job collecting all the runoff from the pavement on the western 2/3 of the site. So the two ponds that we are proposing are going to be designed to the Town of Indian Trail and the state of North Carolina standards. They will have safety fencing around them. They will provide both detention, which means we slow down the water that comes to the ponds off the pavement, and release the water in the same general pattern that it exists naturally, and they will provide water quality features. Those are both requirements of the town and of the state. So there are what they call BMP, best management practice guidelines that we will follow in the detail in the design of those ponds. So the location is based on where the topography the site currently drains. And the answer to your question is yes, we will take the peak of the stormwater, reduce it down to pre-development conditions, and release it in the same general direction that it's being released right now. So no downstream neighbor receives an effect from the development from a stormwater perspective.
Is that prior to finishing the project and during the construction phase also?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, that's a twofold piece. We do a phased erosion control, so when the site grading begins, the trees come off, there are erosion control measures that have to go into effect first, and then there's a transition period as the site comes up to grade, gets paved, buildings go under construction. The stormwater ponds actually have to be in place as part of the actual certificate of occupancy permit. Correct me if I misspeak here, Mr. Burns, but yes, as the buildings begin to be occupied, those ponds have to be in place. That is the catalyst for that. And there are operation and maintenance agreements that are town standards, again, all dictated by the state as well, and annual inspections that go on with those ponds.
And during the construction phase, you'll maintain clean water standards?
Yes, sir. That's, again, state requirements. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
If you would flip to the next, these are conditional notes that are part of the application. This says traffic impact analysis has been done. We will follow the impacts of that, and I'll outline what those are in just a moment. This also says that we'll meet the architectural standards, statements of integrity, along with the shops at Hanfield Village next door. So it will look like the same development, regardless of which side of the property line that you're on. If I could ask you to go on to the next one, I think, if you would. So this is the rendered site plan. So there are 3 points of access from the traffic analysis. DOT has asked that we do a right turn and taper deceleration lane into the property. They asked that we push the driveway as far to the north as we can, and that's why you see it located on Wesley Chapel Stouts as far north as possible. They asked that we restrict that to a right in, right out, and that'll be restricted by building concrete median in Wesley Chapel Stouts like you see in other places along the shops at Hanfield frontage. The closest entrance to Wesley Chapel into the project will also be right in, right out only, and this concrete median will be added to prevent that. And then this access will be a full motion access in and out of the property. In your packets, you see that the staff report notes that the developer is finalizing that legal agreement. And yes, we do recognize that will be a condition. We want that to be a condition of the final approval. We're thankful that the town recommends that the planning board receive this report and recommend approval to the petition with the conditions as noted, as our request that you, the planning board, approve as it is presented tonight. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, if I may. Yes.
Just for clarity, sir, since we're not looking at this property, but that's a speed table as well as these are speed tables, is that correct?
Yes, that is a good point. Would you flip back to, there are speed tables there within Publix. And then on our site plan, one of the comments we received from our good friends at the Town of Indian Trail was please employ some speed tables within our development. So yes, we're indicating one here and one here and one there, anywhere we think it could be a shortcut. We've added speed tables internally, yes,
I just wanted to make sure, because again, you could clearly see the
yes.
cut through off of Old Monroe, straight up through
Right.
onto Wesley Chapel, so, thank you.
Any other questions? Nope. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Chairman.
I hear a motion.
I make a motion that we approve as amended by the Town of Indian Trail. Or,
Approve
the
with
con-
contingent?
yeah, with the contingency plan.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
Okay.
Gotcha, thank you.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Board.
Okay. Next item is the adoption of the 2018 meeting calendar.
Need a motion to accept the dates as they are?
I'll second.
Okay. Seconded?
Second.
Well, we have a second, we just need all in favor.
Oh, okay. All in favor? That's unanimous.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Other business? Select a representative for the Monroe Expressway, Secret Service shortcut, small area plan, stakeholders committee.
All right.
You're up.
We're gonna get you a coin, you can start flipping over there.
Okay, so we need a victim, planning board member. So we staff and consultant staff between the Town of Indian Trail and Union County have kicked off our meeting so that we can get started on the Monroe Expressway Seacrest Shortcut Small Area Plan. As part of that project, we will put together a stakeholder committee. So we ask that one of you all participate. We envision there being 3 stakeholder meetings. The first, we're hoping to kick off probably that second week in January, and they'll probably go monthly until March. And so it's going to be a pretty expedited project because it's such a small area, and we just want to be able to get ahead of it because we've already had some folks express interest in developing out around that area. So I like to say it's a pretty short time commitment, and once I get the last name, which we have other names, I've reached out to other folks, so I just need someone from the board, and I will send out what we call a doodle poll to figure out which day and time may work to have that first meeting.
How much time will that take? What are we looking at as far as the commitment? Time and distance, traveling, any of that?
The meetings will be held Indian Trail or Monroe, either here or Monroe. And meetings may be about 2 hours in length, and like I say, about 3 total. So the first one would be January, the second one sometime in February, and maybe March or April for the
It'll be using a very conventional format. The first stakeholder meeting will likely be just kind of an introduction, get all the members brought up to speed on the process and the scope of work for the study and roles and responsibilities. Then the final 2 meetings will be, you'd likely be provided with a work product in advance to review, and then we would, then the meetings would be kind of discussion of that work product, where the committee serves as like a sounding board for the proposals that the consultant team comes up with. And so, and not too dissimilar to kind of how like the planning boards function, where we give you an advanced packet and you review it, get some thoughts down on it, and come and discuss it in a group setting. So, kind of judge the time commitment based on that information.
I don't mind volunteering, I'll take one for the team. If someone else wants to, by all means, but again, I don't I don't mind.
Boy, tonight's your night for volunteering.
That's it.
Take
That's
one-
all.
Take one for the Gipper, huh?
That's it. Yep. Very flexible schedule, so we can work it out.
So you're a contortionist.
Pretty much. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
And if he is not able to do it, I will do it.
Great, I appreciate
Okay,
that, that's
very
very
good.
helpful. So could we have a motion to that effect, please?
Motion.
Motion.
You're going to appoint motions.
Okay.
So motion to appoint Jason, and if he can't participate
Yes.
or.
And the
or-
Alternate.
Is Art.
Then we
Yeah.
recruit Art.
And Mr.
All in
Brown.
favor?
And I volunteer Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Your backup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very ambitious bunch, thank you.
All right, good. Now, the planning report.
The planning report. Nothing necessarily new and exciting to share with you from last month. You know, like all the departments in the town of Gainesville, we're just, you know, we've moved into our new building that we're very excited about, trying to get settled in, smooth out, you know, not necessarily folks like Mr. Parks here behind me, you know, smoothing out some of, you know, little bumps here that come with moving into a new building. And so that's been good as we get, you know, we get settled in. As Katie mentioned, you know, we're kind of kicking off, you know, 2018 is going to be a good year for, you know, getting some planning studies and analysis underway, you know, with the Monroe Expressway study that Katie just talked about. You know, that's been discussed, and now we're, you know, kind of launching on that. We hope to be under contract, subject to council approval, soon on the UDO and land development regs update. We're just kind of fine tuning that scope of work contract, and hope, you know, perhaps could have that before the council at one of their January meetings for final approval. So that, you know, that's very positive as well. And we've got some other projects we'll talk to you more about. But it's looking at 2018 is, you know, it's going to shape up to be a really good year for planning and really kind of working with the community to kind of really, you know, make Indian the most that it can be. Complementary to that is, you know, we're also going to see probably a lot of development activity, just, you know, at least or in terms of requests for development. You know, we've been fielding, as Katie mentioned, we've been fielding a lot of calls in the Monroe Expressway corridor area. I think with that, people being able to see the expressway, you know, physically see it there, they have a better idea how it would relate to maybe, you know, future development and with other parcels. And so we get, you know, we get a lot of inquiries on that. So I think we will probably see a project or two in the coming year in that area. And so I think you'll stay, you know, a busy bunch, if you will. So yeah, that's all we, you know, right now that's all we have for you. And I'll certainly take any questions that you may have.
Are you more efficient now in the new facility?
I think so. I think the biggest piece, I think, where we gain from efficiency, at least, and I'll just speak for the planning department, is now we're all in one space. Okay, so before we had ourselves divided up, you know, with, like, for example, code enforcement worked out in our warehouse here, and, you know, some of you may not be aware the old building had a warehouse, and it really we were kind of split off. And now that we're kind of all together, we can coordinate on things much more seamlessly. We have to, you know, call a huddle up, if you will. It's a lot easier to do so. It's also, you know, so the technology is also helpful too with, you know, getting direct phone numbers versus, you know, working through the central operator system in the old building. And so, you know, those will be, you know, very good efficiencies. And probably the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, is not having to sweat scheduling a meeting for conference room space, because I'd say during the last year or so, it's kind of turned into kind of like a knife fight to you know, get a conference room scheduled. Everyone competing for one room. So right now you can schedule a group meeting with a, you know, 5 to 10 person bunch and really not have to stress over, you know, finding a conference room and doing that advance. You know, so that's just some thoughts on that.
The UDO, you had talked about that, gosh, as long ago as mid last year, I want to say. Do you see that coming as a major overhaul of the town's UDOs, or is that more just a refresh? I mean, what are the thoughts on that, looking into the scope of work, if you can share?
Yeah, I know. I think I can. I think we're not seeing it as it's not necessarily, it's an update project, not a rewrite. And so we've conveyed to the consultant in this, you know, when the council sees the scope of work in the budget, it's not a super large budget for this project. So I view it as kind of a strategic update for the UDO. And what's happened is we adopted the UDO in late 2007. Now here we are, 10 years later, and so we lost some testing. I'll call it testing years with the UDO because it was adopted right when the recession happened. So we didn't have a lot of projects to test against it when it first was adopted, and so we've since had 5, 6+ years of steady growth where we can actually test the standards against development projects, and we definitely see some areas where the UDO just didn't address a topic that it needs to, and it's not like a super exciting topic. It's something it needs to address, so we don't have to finagle something, and so and then there's areas that we think we can do better at, and we know we can, and then there's been changes in state law and some court rulings that we are forced to have to adapt to, whether we like the decisions or not. We have to adapt to them, and there's been a hefty dose out of Raleigh of those kinds of changes over the last year or two, and so we see it more as getting us into better state and judiciary compliance, and then kind of the other piece of that is being just really a strategic update of some specific issues that we know we have. But we have asked the consultant, to certainly, we want them to look at, they're the experts, they have a fresh set of eyes, look at our ordinance, with this fresh set of eyes. What are things that we're not seeing, but really may still be issues? And sometimes it's helpful. That's why it's good to have even new internal staff come in, review and administer the ordinance, because they see things that you just, people have looked at for a couple of years, just, can't see the forest for the trees.
So if I may, just quickly, as an attack-on question, is 10 years a long time to go under a set of UDOs to where now we're looking to refresh them? In other words, should it be a shorter time frame? Is that a long time frame? What's that perspective?
I think I don't know if there's a specific hard and fast after this many years, like in the same respect we talk about planning studies that the comprehensive plan should be updated over this many years. I think the big piece is that you need to always be updating your ordinance, even after we get through this process, which is going to be fairly compact. We want to get done in 6 months. We don't want to drag it out. Charlotte's going through their adopting a new UDO, and they've got their schedule is ballooned quite a bit. We don't want to get caught into that. And it's a bigger project, but we don't get caught in that scenario. But in I think my point is that you're always going to have to make updates, even after we adopt the changes that the consultant's going to recommend. We're still going to be coming back with text amendments, and I think that's something we'll always be doing. I think you just have to kind of constantly stay on it, and but it's not uncommon. When you adopt UDO, you used it, tested it, identified some issues of your own, that you're going to have to come in and make a pretty substantive update to it. Yes, ma'am.
Do you find that the UDO needs revision,
Updating.
more so with increase in population or as the years go on? Which did you find was more relevant? The increased population of Indian Trail, or as time passed with changing times?
I think there's certainly there could be a little bit of the second piece that you mentioned about changing times. You learn how to do things better than you did before. You hope, at least from an industry standpoint, you hope you're always learning, and coming up with better techniques to solve problems. But I really think a lot of this and that captures a lot of this, ordinance update is, what I thought was the answer in 2007. But that's really, in 2017, it's not today's best answer. And so there's a piece of that. But I think, I really think a lot of it is things that could have been, a little sharper maybe, and there's just some areas I think that got missed when the original UDO was written. So I said some very fundamental topic areas I think weren't either covered or covered very well. The one I like to always call out and just give you for example is, it'll tell you, the UDO will tell you, how tall your house can be. Okay, you think the UDO would tell you how 40 feet, I think maybe. is a maximum height, but it doesn't tell you how to measure that height. And if you know anything about construction, there's all kinds of different roof types, and there's pitched roofs and flat roofs and mansard roofs and all sorts. And depending on how you measure it, 40 feet can be a lot different. Depending on how you measure it. And it's a very, very common thing to have a little guide in your UDO of how you measure building heights, and ours doesn't have it. And so it can sometimes create a challenge. So that's kind of like one of those fundamental things. I think we just need. It's not a hard thing per se. We're just going to find someone else that's already written it really well, and we're just going to grab that and put it in. But it's just like a fundamental fix. That, we should have had that. And I could go on. There's some other examples, and I think there's some duplicative areas of the ordinance where it repeats the same thing over and over. So it's sort of like it takes one section, maybe 10 pages, but you could really probably cut it down to 7 if you would just, cut this and this out and then just, say something once.
Yeah, redundant
So
language.
there's some areas there.
But to some degree, it's population, because population is going to come in and the UDO is going to get challenged, and that's really what drives. If I'm understanding you.
I think population comes in, and I think with that population change and change in demographics and growth, I think the UDO is by and large not is written for probably more larger lot development types, and that as well as I do that a lot of the kind of rezoning activity that comes through, the developers have desired, and the people that end up buying their product have desired a more smaller lot product. The homeowners are more willing to accept a smaller lot. There's some as long as they get that upgraded kitchen and bathroom or whatever it is, and they'd also get the benefits of not having in their eyes less maintenance and such. And so our ordinance isn't really written to some of those lot types. It isn't written very well to some of those lot types that we've seen through the conditional rezoning process. And so why not, instead of having to come up with a table for a new setback table for every community, through the rezoning process, why don't we just get it right, in the UDO, and so that way it's already done.
Makes our job easier too, because then we don't have to worry about precedents and doing for one and not the other and all that. So.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to take into effect, considering the hurricanes and crazy storms that we've had, will building codes change so that houses will be able to take wind a little better than they have in the past?
The UDO does not address building codes. The Union County administers that through what's called the International Building Code, the IBC, and I'm speaking a little bit outside my area of expertise, but it's a international, it's at least a national standard that many communities use to regulate the construction of buildings. There is customization based on the region that you're living in. Obviously, someone building a house in Myrtle Beach, you would hope a different standard is being used to a house built in Indian Trail. And the municipality can also adopt supplementary standards, but we're not from a zoning standpoint. We don't address weather damage and structural. I'll call it structural integrity. The building code is really the regulator of that. And it seems, and what I just kind of see through the internet chatter and whatnot, that the code officials after these big storms, they talk a lot about what went right and what went wrong from a construction standpoint. And I think starting way back with Katrina and subsequent natural disasters, that they've learned a lot on what they need to do better, particularly for our more sensitive areas on the coast and whatnot.
Yeah, because the buildings in New York, they have that where they can sway a little bit, and it doesn't happen once you hit the DC border.
Well, we're fortunate that ice storms are probably absent of man-made disasters, ice storms are what we generally have to worry about. Although, I mean, there have been hurricanes that have kind of swept through and given us a little headache. Yes.
Is there going to be any plan for public input into the rewriting or the changing in the UDO?
There will be. There will be similar to what Katie was explaining to you with the stakeholder group. So there will be a stakeholder group formed. We'll come back and ask a member of the planning board to serve on that. We haven't formed that committee yet. We want to get the contract established first. But just thinking out loud, don't hold me to this precisely, but, I think we have a planning board member, you'd have a board of adjustment member, because they deal with a lot of the same issues, the more technical issues. You would have, probably some neighborhood, representation, maybe like an HOA leader, probably someone from the development community, maybe someone from the real estate community as well, because, they see the ordinance from a different perspective, and sometimes that perspective can be valuable. They see it from a different area, and sometimes they can even give you good feedback on, hey, it'd be really helpful if you could be more efficient in your process. This step here and this process really trips us up. Is there a way to streamline that a little better? Maybe give you just good feedback. And so, we're going to have a pretty diverse group, with the UDO, and then certainly through the adoption process, go before the full planning board and the full council.
Okay. That for the planning report?
That would be the end of the planning report, yes.
Okay. Have a motion for adjournment?
A motion to adjourn?
Yes. Okay, all in favor? Adjourn.